All right. What's up, everybody? You know what I'm saying? Back at it again, another video. Gonna be another addition to the greatest of all time series. This time I'm gonna do it on the legendary hip hop duo from Atlanta, Outkast. Okay, featuring Mr. Antoine Patton and Andre Benjamin, aka Big Boy and Andre 3000, and me making a case for why they're the greatest duo slash group of all time in the history of hip hop. Which, in my opinion, they're definitely I'm counting duos and groups. If we're counting duos and groups or duos as groups, Outkast is probably top three, top five all time, just for their influence and their impact on hip hop, and especially in the South and in Atlanta. Atlanta hip hop really, mainstream wise started with them, and the whole Dungeon family, Organized Noise, the Goody Mob, and then of course, TLC, Usher, that's R&B of course, but still. Atlanta rise into national prominence started with all these guys. So, but yeah, Outkast definitely has to be top five. We're counting duos as groups. To me, the greatest group ever is NWA, but the greatest duo ever is unquestionably Outkast. We look at their albums and their talent and their influence on hip hop. It's got to be them. It's got to be Big Boy and Dre. So anyway, let's get into the case. Well, Outkast, as we all know, debuted in 1994 with their legendary classic debut album, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music. Okay, it had the hit singles Players Ball and a self-titled track and Get Up, Get Out featuring Goody Mob. Okay, and obviously at the 1995 Source Awards, they won for the best new artist. That's the legendary Source Awards show where, Suge Knight's talking about all up in the videos, come to Death Row, dissing, because this is in the middle of the East Coast, well, really the Death Row versus Bad Boy War, and the people say East Coast, West Coast, New York, LA. It was really just Bad Boy and Death Row, but the media hyped it up as a whole East Coast versus West Coast thing, but whatever. Anyway, and of course, this is legendary. Andre 3000 took the stage and said, I'm tired of them closed-minded folk that don't want to listen to our demos. It's like this, I got something to say. That's all I got to say. Okay. Nothing against Andre. I know a lot of people from the South are going to be mad at me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not making fun of Andre. Andre 3000 is one of the greatest rappers of all time. He's definitely in my top five. But, yeah, this was the start of Atlanta's rise to prominence in hip-hop. Okay, and look, I'm about to say this, and a lot of people may not like this, but Outkast, Outkast, Goody Mob, the whole Dungeon family in general, and, Jermaine Dupri and maybe Ludacris, maybe they're the only original artists come out of Atlanta. And by original, I mean in terms of sound. Okay, because look, this is just the truth, man. A lot of people are gonna say I'm hating on Atlanta. I went to Atlanta last summer. I got nothing against Atlanta. It's a good city, great city. But come on, if we're being real, their hip hop scene, from its inception, they've been copying every other scene in the South. When Atlanta's hip hop scene started in the late '80s, they were copying Miami. Okay, because Miami was the prominent rap scene in the South at that time, in the late '80s. Of course, Uncle Luke and the Two Live Crew with their booty bass music, Miami bass. Atlanta MCs were copying that. MC Shy D, Kilo Ali. You can look this up, man. You can look it up on the history of Atlanta hip hop. Late '80s, it said, Atlanta's hip hop scene had a Miami style of hip hop, Miami sound. Okay, and then of course crunk music came from Memphis. 3 6 Mafia, Tommy Wright III, and low key trap music as well. 8 Ball and MJG, Al Capone, Kingpin, Skinny Pimp. I'm saying, all those guys, man. And then trap music, that was really Memphis and Texas. Houston, UGK and the Screwed Up Clique, the Lil Keke, all those guys, man. Fat Pat, even, but nothing against Atlanta, but but those are just facts. That's just the truth, whether you like it or not. But man, back to this, this is Outkast's second album, which someone says probably their best album, ATLiens. Definitely the most original rap title. Definitely original rap title. This came out in 1996. 1996 is probably the greatest year in the history of hip hop. Because look at how many classic albums were dropped that year. And I've said this before, Tupac, dropped All Eyes on Me. Then, later on after he died, he dropped Machiavelli, The 7 Day Theory. Nas dropped It Was Written. Jay-Z debuted with Reasonable Doubt. The Fugees dropped The Score. Ghostface Killer dropped Iron Man. UGK dropped Riding Dirty. and Mobb Deep dropped Hell on Earth. Like that, 1996 was just a great year for hip hop, and AT Aliens is definitely one of the standout projects that year. AT Aliens was arguably the best album dropped that year. That's arguable, but yeah, and this had the title track and elevators. Me and you, your mama and your cousin too, which is definitely one of my top five favorite Outkast songs. Two dope boys in a Cadillac. Okay, now this is their album Aquemini, which is also dropped in 1998, which is another great year for hip hop. DMX dropped his two albums. It's Dark and Hell is High, Flesh My Flesh, Blood My Blood. Not to digress, not to get off topic, but I'm a big hip hop head. I come from a family of hip hop heads, man. You know, Lauryn Hill dropped her only album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Jay-Z burst on the scene. He dropped Volume 2, Hard Knock Life. Who else dropped something that year? The Lox dropped Money, Power, Respect. 98 was another great hip-hop year, and Aquemini was probably the best album dropped that year again. Aquemini, obviously, the name comes from their zodiac signs. Big Boy was an Aquarius, and Andre 3000 was a Gemini. So Aquemini. It had Rosa Parks and the quote-unquote controversial song Rosa Parks, and hush that fuss. Everybody move to the back of the bus. The title track Aquemini. Outkast always drops title tracks on all their albums. You can look that up. That's a fact. This album, it definitely sounds because Outkast. One of the things about Outkast, they try to sound different every album, which it sounds hard, which is hard, but they're which is hard. So for them to do it and make classic albums, different styles every time they drop was extremely impressive. Big Boy in 100,000 grew. Andre is one of the best lyricists of all time. Big Boy is underrated. He's one of the best rappers of all time. If Andre 3000 is in the top 5, top 10, and he hasn't dropped any solo projects, Big Boy's got me like the top 25 at least. Because he's got solo projects and the work with Outkast. Andre, we just count his work with Outkast. But Big Boy's got solo projects and the work with Outkast. But, get back to topic. So Aquemini, this is my favorite Outkast album. This one, I'd say Aquemini. If I had to rank, the first three are my favorites. The first three are my favorites. I don't necessarily know to rank them, but those are my favorites. But with this is Stankonia. This is when Outkast blew up. On a national level, international level. It's kind of they reached pop star level. Of course, the hit single Miss Jackson and B.O.B. Bombs Over Baghdad. Bombs Over Baghdad. And, they won the Grammy Award, I think, for Best Rap Album that year in 2002 for this project, and the 20-year anniversary for this project, because this dropped on Halloween in 2000, so 20-year anniversary is almost coming up. So 20-year anniversary, I'm going to listen to this project fully again. There was also a song on this album called Humble Mumble with Erykah Badu, which was a great track in my opinion. With this album, Outkast became the first rap group to acknowledge rave culture as an influence, And then this project, the Speaker Box Love Below, one of the few rap albums to go diamond in the history of hip hop. Of course, it had the tracks Hey Ya and Hey Ya by Andre and The Way You Move, Big Boy. At this point, Outkast were an international, like I said, international superstar, pop star level. And Outkast, and believe it or not, you can look this up. They got booked to do the Super Bowl halftime show in 2004. The Super Bowl where Justin Timberlake ripped off Janet Jackson's piece of her shirt and exposed her nipple. Yeah, Outkast was supposed to perform that Super Bowl. And when they turned it down, Andre didn't want to do it. Big Boy wanted to. Andre didn't want to, so it never happened. Of course, Big Boy did the Super Bowl halftime show a couple years ago, Sleepy Brown with Travis Scott and Maroon 5. That was a perfect opportunity for Outkast to perform, but it didn't happen, probably because Dre didn't want to do it. So, it's okay. Yeah, but they should have got, other Atlanta artists. Usher, could have got JD, Ludacris, but that Super Bowl halftime show was a big shit show. And this was Outkast's last album, Out of Wild, which is a soundtrack to a movie they did. This had the songs Mighty O and Hollywood Divorce with Lil Wayne and Snoop Dogg. The last album. This is, the legacy album, the last joint. They haven't dropped anything together since, You know what I hate? When people like Outkast, they don't drop anything for a while. People think they're beefing. Andre and Big Boy, I doubt they ever beefed. Yeah, I'm not saying it was always roses and sunshine with them. They probably had disagreements, but say they're beefing. It's just ludicrous. No pun intended. It's just absurd. Like, come on. They just don't do Outkast no more, man. That's okay. That's okay. But yeah. And now going on to their legacy. Their legacy and influence and impact on the rap game was, well, they put the South on the map. Atlanta on the map. They paved the way for the Ludas and the JDs, and later on, the trap music, which, like I said, came from Memphis. But that's another video I'm gonna do. Um, Gucci Mane, T.I., and Jeezy, and then later on Future and Thugger and 2 Chainz. Now then the Migos and Yachty. Now you got Lil Baby running the show in Atlanta. And it all started. It can all be traced back to Outkast and the Dungeon Family, and the R&B singers, TLC, Usher. Toni Braxton. Of course, she's not from Atlanta, but she was signed to LaFace, so people give her credit too. But that's another debate. Okay, this is Andre and Big Boy at the Source Awards. When Dre said the iconic line, the South got something to say, and he was right. They did have something to say. They've been on top ever since. Atlanta really took control of hip hop, I'd say around 03, 04, 05, around that area, because that's when you had 50 debut. And of course, a lot of people blame 50 Cent for killing New York hip hop. 50 did definitely have a part, but everybody had a part, Everybody was beefing with everybody. But that's another, video for another day. But around that time, the Outkast, the South, saw their chance and they took over. Outkast, the Speaker Box, Love Below, Ludacris, I think, dropped a project around 03, 04, 05. 05, of course, Gucci Mane dropped Trap House, Jeezy dropped TM 101. 03, going back to 03, T.I. dropped Trap Music. Lil Jon, the East Side Boys, they had the single Get Low, and then they dropped an album. The Yin Yang Twins, Crime Mob, Atlanta was taking over. The whole South in general, because Houston was big at that point. People forget, Houston was looked at as the top rap scene in the South for a while. Because they had UGK, Chameleonaire, Paul Wall, Slim Thug, Devin the Dude, you know what I'm saying? Zero, Trailer True. Like, they were looked at as the top rap scene in the South. And then the Memphis rap scene, in terms of mainstream, all they really had was 3 6 and Project Pat. Because in 05, 3 6 dropped Stay Fly and Popping My Collar and Side to Side. And, that was really the only time Memphis got shine nationally. But, they're starting to have a resurgence and get their credit. But, that's Outkast's legacy, man. They put on for the South. They have 5 classic albums. A few, like I said, saying many times in the past, them, Kanye West, and DMX, their first 5 albums were all classics. Like I said in the Kendrick Lamar video, he needs one more to join that class to cement his legacy. I don't think we'll ever get a solo project from Andre 3000. And you know what? Honestly, that's okay. That's okay. We don't need a solo project from Andre 3000, His legacy's already set. Big Boy's legacy set. Big Boy don't got to drop nothing no more. But, yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Shout out to Outkast. Greatest duo of all time. Unquestioned in my mind. All right, so see y'all next video.